Yo, what is up, guys? What is poppin'? We are back with week 6 of the ITL. We are facing Michael, aka AlphaDrops, and his Rocky Mountain Marowaks. He has a very busted team, as you see on screen. He has the Inferno, one of his Z users. He has Tapu Lele, Zapdos, Meloetta, Purd, and Empoleon. He also had threats like Dragonite on the team, which he didn't bring, which is fortunate for us, but definitely a very tough one to prep for. But I think I built a very solid squad that can deal with most of his stuff. Um, Tapu Fini is mostly defensive, physically defensive, obviously, with Moonblast, I think, Nature's Madness, Defog, and Protect. Protect just to like scout for potential, what's it called, potential choice users as well as a Zigang shot for from Inferno, for example. Just want to make sure that like then I can scout for stuff and potentially burn some turns of what's called of his terrain. Obviously, Alomomola here is a mixed defensive mon. I think this has Surf, Toxic, Wish, and Protect. Pretty standard mixed defensive, but mostly physically defensive. I have an Assault Vest Metagross which can take hits from anything but Specs Tapu Lele. Specs Tapu Lele just blows it back with the Shadow Ball. But besides that, I can take on any variant of Tapu Lele as well as most Meloetta variants. Obviously, like Choice Specs Meloetta can do quite a bunch to me, especially with, for example, Focus Blast or something, or Shadow Ball. I can't take two hits, but I can switch it once and then um, not much more, so not that often. So gotta preserve this Metagross to check the Lele and potentially wish it up with my Alomomola. My boy Mamo Swiney is my rocker this week with dual stab, obviously Earthquake and Ice Crash, as well as the Ice Shard. Life Orb Adamant, as always, just creeping like uninvested Zapper or 12 EV Zapper. I think I have like 123 speed on it or something like that at level 50. Hydreigon is a pretty cool set. Taunt, Toxic, Roost, and Crunch. I figured Crunch would be more helpful because my opponent has a lot of very solid special walls like Registeel and Empoleon, and with Crunch I can chip them down way better, way quicker. But obviously I gotta play around with Scald Burns potentially and be aware of that. So maybe Darkwood would have been the better call, but we will see about that. Um, Crunch also helps versus the Lele, it hits it harder with the Dread Plate especially, as well as the Meloetta, which is a very solid special bulk naturally. So I figured Crunch would come in more handy, but definitely gotta see how that one goes. Venusaur here, my fat money, has the knockoff synthesis, Sludge Bomb, and Giga Drain, pretty standard. I think I'm modest this week, but I have a lot of bulk on there. I think I'm modest with my 76 EVs because Sludge Bomb and Giga Drain hit his team very hard and can guarantee me some nice tool KOs on his month. I'm heading into this game at 5-0 after getting kind of lucky last week, being able to pull out the win versus Gypsy King. Michael, I think, is 3-2 heading into this game. Maybe 2-3, but I think 3-2. So definitely interesting match. He's in our conference, so we could potentially play again in playoffs. So gotta be mindful of that and see how he preps versus me, and then like keep that in mind for a potential rematch in the playoffs. But I think we should hop right into it. As like Michael is issuing the challenge, and we will hop into the game. I think I forgot what I led with. I think I led with the Mamoswine potentially. So now I led with the Tapu Fini to get my terrain off and to see um because it's like just a safe lead, he can take on a lot of stuff. Game is like lagging a little bit here, but it works. He leads off with the Infernape. Quality doesn't seem to be the best, but we will work with that. He withdraws his Infernape and he sends us a Zapper. I think I went just for the Protector Scout, what he wants to do. Um, it's Pressure Zapdos, which is good to know. Protect fails, obviously. I can protect again in case this is a Scarf Zapper, to see what he wants to lock himself into. As I protect myself, he goes for the Volt Switch. And yeah, I think I use this as an opportunity to switch out into my Mamoswine. As he pulls another switch into Widowmaker, which is his Meloetta, and this is pretty bad for me. He reveals that he has a faster Zapdos, but obviously I don't have enough speed to creep a Zapper, so that like gets pretty annoying. But Meloetta comes in, and the way he brought it in on me was telling me like basically that either he has something to hit the Tapu Fini really really hard, for example like a Specs Hyper Voice, or it is just able to chew a lot of hits from the Tapu Fini. For example with the Assault Vest variant. Assault Vest Meloetta was something he brought last season versus me, where I also had Meloetta and I also had the Tapu Fini, and it like took 4 or 5 Moonblasts before dying. So definitely a viable set, and I figured he would bring a more bulky variant of and a slower variant of Meloetta because this allows him, like, if he goes modest with a lot of HP and not a lot of speed, that allows him to potentially break down my Venusaur easier because then he can take more hits than an uninvested speedy Meloetta can do, and also functions as a solid check to if he's like specially defensive or something, functions as a solid check to my Tapu Fini, for example, as well as my Venusaur, unless I pack the knockoff, which I do. But like then, if it's leftovers, for example, and pretty bulky, it can check a lot of stuff on my team. So I figured with my Mamoswine here that he probably is a slow variant, and I don't switch into Meloetta as super well, especially if he's like an offensive variant. What I should have done probably was going into my Metagross to chew any hit at Pursuit Rabbit, but I felt like he was more likely to be a slower variant, and I also felt that I needed to preserve my Metagross more than my Mamoswine, even though Mamoswine puts in quite some work with his team. But I felt like I needed to preserve Metagross to take on the Lele, because otherwise the Scarf Lele can potentially just run through my team, which is pretty unfortunate. But I decided to stay in here as he actually reveals to be faster, goes for the Focus Blast and misses, and this is huge. Focus Blast would have probably dropped me on my neck, depending on his investment. It was a roll to kill me, but if he was modest, it definitely was a roll in his favor. If he was jolly, timid, it's like I had a chance to take it on, but uh, take the Focus Blast, but I wasn't sure like if I could survive another one. He pulls the switch out into my Swampert. I don't go for the Ice Shot here. I felt like the Ice Shot was so obvious that I might as well take the chance and go into my Venusaur, predicting Swampert to come in potentially. And that works out great for me. I can just go for a free knockoff here as I get the Mega Evolution of a very safe Mega Evolution, which is nice. As Zapdos comes in and I can get rid of his item. If he's Choice Scarf, he will lose his item. Now if he's Leftovers, that means he has to use Roost as his main recovery, which is solid. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I go for the knockoff, do some decent damage here, like 23% or 20%. Definitely a max HP Zapper here. And on this turn I should have gone for the Synthesis, scouting what he wants to do, but I just went for another knockoff, predicting him to Volt Switch out to gain momentum back. And yeah, he hits me with the Air Cutter. That's an uninvested Zapper, so it's not the end of the world, but my Venusaur at like 60-ish percent, 66%, gonna make sure that I don't let this thing get too weakened. Now I go into my Hydreigon here, knowing that I can take on any variant of Zapdos quite easily. I'm pretty sure I'm faster because I speed crabbed and modest Lele that which basically is a speed creep to Mamoswine because it hits 147 on level 50. I can just fire off a Crunch here to see what he wants to do. As he goes into his Pert, he reveals to be Rocky Mountain, which is unfortunate. I just go for the taunt here in case he wants to Toxic me or get up his rocks. But I think he just goes for the Scald, which is fine. Fair play for him. If I switch into Venusaur, he just like can't fish for the burn. If I stay in, as you see, I get burned. So that obviously doesn't make up for the Focus Blast miss because that was huge. Without my Mamoswine, things were looking way worse than it should. I'm sorry about the quality. I don't know what's happening with the video, but it's fine. He goes for another Scald here. We have to work around with that, I think. Goes for another Scald, get some damage off. That obviously doesn't do too much, and I can like just try to chip it down, but I'm not in a good spot. I don't want to take Rocky Helmet damage all the time. I don't want to take the burn recall all of the time. So I just go for the Toxic here. He actually switches out into Zapdos, which is great for me. Zapdos is hard to take down for me. Besides with the Mamoswine, and like that works pretty well for me. I can just roost up this damage on his next turn, or potentially like taunt it. so he can't roost up or anything. But I decide to roost, get get health back, try to keep my Hydreigon healthy, force his Lele, for example, to go for Moonblast to lock itself into Moonblast to knock it out, obviously, and forces Meloetta to go for Focus Blast in front of me. So that's cool. He goes for the Volt Switch, and now he gets his Infernape in, which is bad for me. Free switch into Infernape is not what I wanted. So I decided to switch out into my Alomomola, I think, on this turn. Because that thing can take on most hits from Infernape. A male Mallory this week, it was my fault. I sent my Jenna. For whatever reason, a team that had a male Alomomola on there. But it will put in the work this time. It's a tranny this week, so we work with that. He goes for the fake out, which I found interesting. It's probably like showing me that he is a Sash leads Infernape kinda, with potentially like fake out plus close combat to beat a Sash Mamoswine. I don't know why he went for the fake out there. I don't think that was the play. He just should have gotten damage off. But with my counters to Infernape in the back, it didn't really matter. I think. I pulled a double out into my Mamoswine here on the Infernape, knowing that he is very inclined to switch out, and whereas the Zappa I use this as a chance to get up my rocks, as these turns were are working very well for me, working out very well. I got the momentum back, I got up my rocks, and now Swampert is in. Problem with Swampert is it's probably his rocker, and yeah, he can potentially just get up his rocks here as well. I was very close to staying in and go for the Earthquake, because Earthquake into Ice Crash is a 2 KO from this range he was at, but I tried to make the safest play and go to my Venusaur, because even if he gets up rocks, it's not the end of the world. I can default them away when I need to, and now I can like just go for the Giga Drain for the Synthesis or for Sludge Bomb. I think I go for the Sludge Bomb, predicting his Zapper to come in, that really needs to roost up or to defog away these rocks for him, because his team is more weak to rocks than mine is, I felt like. I predict this correctly and go for a Sludge Bomb. It was a no drawback play. Even if he stays in, I have a chance to burn the Swampert, and Swampert can't touch me at all, so that's pretty nice. But now that Zapper goes down here, it brings in the monster that is Tapu Lele. Misty Terrain goes off, and this is a very interesting turn. Before we played, like the days before the match, he told me like why I didn't drop Metagross in free agency, because I actually made some moves for the upcoming week. Because like he knew that this is my switch into Tapu Lele, because like it resists dual stab and shit like that, and it actually can even it can take advantage of the terrain, which is very solid for me as well, with the Zen Headbutt potentially. And I know that he knows that I'm very inclined to go into Metagross. I'm very close here to stay in and go for a Sludge Bomb to knock this thing out. I think it's an OHKO, depending on his investment. If he's uninvested, I think a Sludge Bomb can OHKO the Tapu Lele after rocks, which is really crazy. And even if he has investment, I don't get the roll. I can fish for the what's it called? Fish for the poison with the Sludge Bomb and then like knock it out with that damage, for example. But I wasn't sure. Like I felt like Venusaur is so good versus team. It kind of walls Infernape, because Infernape didn't have a boosting item. As he went for Fake Out, he didn't reveal a Life Orb or anything, and Banded Fake Out is not a set. So Venusaur takes that on fairly well, unless it's a Z move user. Venusaur takes on the Empoleon with ease. Venusaur takes on the Swampert that is still around. It can take a hit from Meloetta outside of terrain and knock it off potentially. And like it just puts in so much work with the rest of the team that I wasn't sure if I should risk it. I contemplated this turn a lot, but in the end I decided to go hard into my Metagross. And yeah, try to pursue trap this Tapu Lele. I sent out Metagross, my boy, not shiny this week, but also not too bad. Goes and he predicts that it goes for the Shadow Ball. Had I stayed in here, I would have gotten the easy kill with the Venusaur, because Shadow Ball, as you see, he isn't choice specs or anything gauging by the damage, and yeah, it's like that was easy. It was an easy kill for me, and getting rid of his biggest threat would have been nice. But Metagross can pursue trap the Lele, does around 50%, not even 50, but like 40-45, and like he will be in range for any hits for an Earthquake, for example, after switching in one more time to rocks. But now Bok comes in, the Swampert. Too bad I didn't like I didn't what's it called too bad I didn't stay in with Venusaur and got rid of the Lele, because my Venusaur basically 6-0'd his team once I got rid of the terrain here, because their Meloetta isn't too big of a threat. And this thing comes in, goes for the Earthquake. I didn't want to go hard into my Venusaur, even though I could have done that, but I like was like trying to play it safe, pass a wish potentially with the Mallory, and see what this Swampert does. If it's Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Scald, he probably has Toxic on a set, but that doesn't really matter too much for me, because Mallory is never staying in for a lot of turns, because not like once he has figured out my set, he can just go into Lele, for example, or just go into Empoleon, which like I do 5% with the Scarlet, and like that doesn't really help me as much. And now I can pass a wish potentially to my Venusaur. I think I go into Venu or Finny here, as like I can't pass the wish, and I go into my Venusaur, so that thing will get back to full health, because he like can't roam me out because he has revealed all of his sets, and he switches out. He puts a nice switch out into his Infernape, but that's fine with me. Infernape takes the rocks, and Infernape actually takes up to 87% or 88% from a Sludge Bomb from my Venusaur if he's uninvested, and he has to be close to uninvested to speed creep my Hydreigon, for example. So he has like 60 or 80 EVs in HP max, and if I get the poison here, I'm guaranteed to knock it out. He goes for the Fake Out, which is fine. I'm not switching out with this Infernape. If he has the Z Flare Blitz or the Z Overheat, doesn't really matter too much for me. I can take those hits. Flare Blitz actually does a lot, to be fair, and he gets the burn. That's really unfortunate, because Venusaur being burned and getting chipped down is it's pretty annoying. And after Flare Blitz recall, I'm close to knocking it out. I wasn't like, that was the roll that I was talking about. Didn't do up to 80. I think that was versus Naive or whatever Infernape. But after like the Flare Blitz recall, I was pretty sure that Sludge Bomb had a very high chance to kill the Infernape. I get the poison actually making up for the burn here, kinda, even though like the burn on Venusaur matters way more, because now I can't switch into an Earthquake from Swampert anymore, for example, which is pretty bad. And now that Infernape goes down, he gets in his thing again, which is unfortunate. I'm up 6-3 right now, 6-4. Infernape is gone, Zephyr is gone. Yeah, I'm up 6-4 right now, but his team is getting pretty much whittled. I go into my Hydreigon here, kinda sacking it off, but if he goes for a Psychic, I can like I have a free Toxic, for example, or can just pivot out. He actually goes for the Psychic. Moonblast probably would not have not have knocked me out. And now I would switch into my Tapu Fini to reverse the terrain in my favor and take the Moonblast, because this is like Moonblast, even if he's and he revealed to be timid, I think, with the Shadow Ball damage. Like this Moonblast won't do anything versus my Fini with the terrain up and him not being boosted. But he actually switches out. Still, like I'm not sure if he like is bluffing Specs, because he can't have these Specs on it, and I know that he's not Scarf, because like my Hydreigon switched out before his Lele, unless we speed tied or anything. But like I don't know if he was trying to bluff anything here with the Lele switch out, because he could have just gone for the Moonblast. But maybe he knew that I was faster, or felt like I was faster, and didn't want to risk a crunch, putting it in Rock's range if he comes in back later. So I see where he was coming from, but he goes into Swampert, and I can start spamming Moonblast. I'm in a solid amount of health, even though Earthquake will hurt, I won't do as much, because this Swampert already revealed to be uninvested, which is nice. And I can knock it out with 3 Moonblasts here, depending on his investment. Could take 2, but it looks more like that it would take 3 Moonblasts here. But that's fine with me, because now I can go for another Moonblast and then defog away. I didn't want to defog away the rocks before on the first turn here versus the Swampert, because if he goes into a Defiant Empoleon, that could have been a big threat to my team with my Venusaur low, and I want to make the right find the right time to go for the defog. Maybe I even should have kept the rocks up on his side, but I still try to like potentially bring in my Venusaur on a hit from what's it called, from the from the Empoleon, and then go from there. And I felt like the chip that I already got on his squad was enough for my team to beat it. But I was actually wrong, because the Rocks chip would have come in pretty handy later in the game, but versus the later, but you will see about that. So he goes for another Earthquake. My Fini is getting low, but I can potentially Wish Pass in front of the Empoleon and then like go from there. And lefties that I will get back here are pretty nice as well. I go for Moonblast. I can't protect you because if he goes for Stealth Rock, that's pretty much a losing turn. But overall, it's fine for me, because now whatever comes in, I can just go for the protect, get some more lefties back, and he sends out his Lele here again, which tries to claim a kill. I think I go for a protect here, just to get some more lefties back. I haven't revealed it yet. Oh, I have revealed it, but I felt like it was a pretty safe play overall. As he goes for Moonblast, and I decide to switch out into my Metagross again, trying to get a kill here. But even if even if I don't get the kill, I can like just bring in my Fini afterwards and then like revenge it with the Moonblast potentially, which is nice. As Metagross comes in, he goes for Moonblast again, which will put me in range for a Shadow Ball. Maybe I should have like sacked the Hydreigon Dango into my Metagross and then potentially go for an Earthquake or another Pursuit. But it's fine with me, it works. He reveals to be not locked in, so if he bluffed the Scarf earlier, kind of worked, even though I was sure he wasn't Scarf or Specs, obviously, but it worked out for him. I can reverse the terrain now. Metagross goes down. Not too bad, it did its job. Got necessary chip on Lele to put it in Ice Shard range potentially later, if I can keep my stuff alive, so that I can bring in my Mammoth Swine versus last Lele in on the Misty terrain. I go for Moonblast here as he switches out into his Meloetta, basically sacking it. I am a little invested, and I know that this thing isn't AV, so I knock it out guaranteed. And now it becomes like a matter of keeping enough sacks alive for this Lele, because Lele can still win this game potentially if he like gets a crit or the death drop on my Fini. And I will just go for protect to get more lefties back, as Alpha makes a very smart play and goes for the Calm Mind on my protect. And now things are looking pretty interesting. +1 Lele is really dangerous versus my team, and I have to like make the right plays here to not get shit on by Calm Mind Lele in the late game. It's a matter of keeping stacks alive so that I can reverse the terrain and then bring in Mammoth Swine for the Ice Shards, obviously. So I have to basically have like 3 or 4 a sack left on every turn. Sack him on like my Venusaur this turn. Bring in Fini, potentially sack him on if he decides to stay in. Bring in Mammoth Swine, knock out the Empoleon with the combination of Ice Shard into Earthquake, unless he's Sugar Berry, and then go into Fini on his last Lele, reverse the terrain, take the hit, and then knock out his Lele with the with the Ice Shard. That's basically the game plan, but right now I can't go into my Fini because Psychic actually at +1 has a chance to knock me out even outside of the terrain, which is unfortunate. So I go into my Hydreigon here, knowing that he is slower than me because I switched out earlier than him early in the game, and I decide to go for the Toxic here, because if I get the Toxic off, I can play the timer game, go for a protect with Fini, go for a protect with Alomomola potentially, and go from there. I go for the Toxic here, and I don't miss, thankfully. So this thing here goes down, which is nice. Will go down at some point, obviously. I can't, like, now it can't beat me with the Calm Mindset anymore. It knocks out my Hydreigon, but Hydreigon did its job, basically toxic the Zephyr, toxic the Lele, and put me in a position where I can win the game. Now I can just go into my Mia Wallace here. I could have gone into Alomomola, but a crit Psychic actually in terrain would have knocked me out. +1, I could have tried to Wish, but I was toxic and didn't want to risk it. I can just go for Protect, even if he goes for another Calm Mind, as he does actually this turn. It doesn't matter too much, because I can just sack him on, go for Protect again, and then bring in whatever I want to verse the Empoleon and actually beat it 1v1 with my Fini either or my Mammoth Swine. So that's basically the game, unless he has like an SD Empoleon in the back, which I felt was quite a possibility because he had a defensive Swampert as his rocker, and potentially defog on Zapdos. I'm not sure about that, but I like it could be like a setup in Poland with like Sugarberry sword stance and then like Aqua Jet. I don't know what doesn't get Iron Tail, I think, but it could have some coverage, and my Finny was getting low, so if he like kills my Alomomola here and has the Empoleon in the back, he actually could win. I send out my Alomomola here on the plus two Moonblast Society. He goes for the Moonblast, and this is a roll to kill. If he doesn't get it, I'm guaranteed to win because then I can Scald the Empoleon or just Wish Pass once more because he might not be able to outspeed if he's a slower variant of Empoleon. And yeah, Lele goes down and live on 2 HP actually, which is hype. He needed a kind of high roll to knock me out there, and he didn't get it, which is nice. Now I can see what kind of Empoleon it is. It is indeed an air balloon set, so it could still be an offensive variant. I just go for the wish here to see if I outspeed, because if I go down, which I will do because of the toxic, um, my like Finny will go up to full and can take on this Empoleon. He knocks me out with the Flash Cannon, which is solid. Like he can't do too much to me, I think, with a special variant because Wallace here is fairly bulky. Unless he gets the death drops, I can't take this thing on one versus one. I go for Moonblast first before going for the Nature's Madness. I don't want this thing to get in torrent range, kinda, because then if he has the Aqua Jet, he can just knock out my my Mamoswine potentially, and I don't want that to happen, obviously. So I gotta play it smart. I get the Wish back and go straight back up to full Alomomola with the Wish passes. Pretty nice. Can go for Nature's Madness now and clutch out the win actually, because this Empoleon reveals to not be able to beat my Finny 1 versus 1, which is hype. It does a solid chunk, 30ish%, but that's not enough, especially with the lefties. So I can just spam Moonblast here. Maybe I go for another Madness, I'm not sure. No, just go for a Moonblast, and I think I knock him out on this turn or the next, and yeah, not on this turn. It will be the next turn where I knock him out. Get the special attack drop, it doesn't matter, and that will be the game. It's gonna be GG once again. Shout outs to Alpha, his Lele set, and preserving the calm mind until later in the game was really helped him get back into the game and almost helped him pull off a win. Had I like lost my Mamo versus the Meloetta turn 3 or 4, whenever it was, would have been a very different game. Maybe I would have lost that one, I don't know. But it was definitely a very solid game. He played really well in my opinion. So I'm happy to clutch out the 2-0 win somehow versus Lele and the other threats. But yeah, definitely a fun game. I hope you guys enjoyed. I improved to 6-0 with a plus 20 differential, I think. Definitely try to keep this streak going, but we'll face Sebi and his Montreal Montfernes next week, which is gonna be this is gonna be tough. He has like a Z Hooper Unbound, a Z Volcarona in combination with Sand plus Excadrill, which is really wild, and a lot of fat stuff on the squad. I built a decent team, I think, but it's definitely a um, very interesting to see like if I can keep up with if I can keep winning. So that's what I want to say. But we will see about that. And definitely go check out Alpha. His Twitter and YouTube is AlphaDrops. He's a very cool guy. He's also in the NPL. We faced him twice in the season this season, and yeah, it's like gonna be interesting to see if he makes playoffs, and then maybe we have to face the behemoth that is Lele once again. But we will see about that, and then we can like adjust our team potentially to take on the squad. But we will see about that. So that was the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and a comment if you did. And yeah, catch you on the next video. I think I won't upload NPL week 12. That was a stupid game. I got 6-0. Kind of due to hacks and kind of because I played rank. But we'll head into playoffs next week in the NPL. I finished the season with a 7-5 record, and I think I will play Adam, aka the Bee's Knees. That should be a fun one in the first round of playoffs. I'm pretty hyped for that, so definitely make sure you check that out. Oh, and I made what struck me in the head right now. I made some changes to my squad. I actually dropped a Selgor, Claydol, and what was my other tier 5 Tauros for Frostless, Mesprit, and Hitmonlee. So got some new toys to the squad for the squad here to like potentially give me a better matchup versus potential playoff opponents or divisional opponents. So we'll see how that works out. But we will have some new faces on the squad. Maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks, whenever I decide to bring them. But that should be hype. So thank you guys for watching and peace out.